Rich woman's car broke down in the rain. A poor single mom helped her and got more than thanks. The rain hammered against the windshield of the silver Mercedes-Benz as Victoria Sterling gripped the steering wheel. Her perfectly manicured nails tapped anxiously as the engine sputtered and died on the deserted highway outside Millbrook, Pennsylvania. At 45, Victoria was accustomed to controlling every aspect of her life, but tonight nature had other plans. No, no, no. Not now, Victoria muttered, turning the key frantically. Nothing. The engine was completely dead. She grabbed her iPhone from the center console. No signal. The storm had knocked out the cell towers. Through the rain-streaked windows, she could see nothing but empty farmland stretching into the darkness. Victoria pulled her Hermes coat tighter and stepped out into the torrential rain. Within seconds, her $300 blowout was ruined, and her designer shoes were soaked through. She stood there, a wealthy woman reduced to helplessness. By nature's fury. 20 minutes later, an old pickup truck approached, its headlights cutting through the storm. Victoria waved desperately as the truck slowed to a stop. The driver's side door opened, and out stepped Sarah Mitchell, a 32-year-old woman wearing a worn denim jacket and work boots, her auburn hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. "Ma'am, are you okay?" Sarah called out, jogging toward Victoria despite the rain. "My car. It just died," Victoria shouted over the storm. "I can't get any cell service." Sarah looked at the luxury car, then at Victoria's expensive but now ruined outfit. Without hesitation, she said, "Come on, you'll catch pneumonia out here. Get in my truck." Victoria hesitated for a moment. She'd never been in a pickup truck before. But the kindness in Sarah's eyes made the decision for her. As they drove through the storm, Victoria shivered in the passenger seat. Sarah reached behind her seat and pulled out an old but clean flannel shirt. "Here, this'll help warm you up," Sarah offered. "I keep extra clothes for my daughter. Sometimes kids have accidents, you know." "Thank you," Victoria said, genuinely grateful as she wrapped the soft flannel around her shoulders. "I'm Victoria, by the way. Sarah Mitchell." She glanced at Victoria's soaked designer clothes. "You're not from around here, are you?" "New York. I was driving to Pittsburgh for a business meeting." Victoria paused, studying Sarah's weathered hands on the steering wheel. "Do you live nearby?" "About 5 miles down the road. It's not much, but it's warm and dry." Sarah's voice was gentle but matter-of-fact. "The storm knocked out power to half the county. You're welcome to wait it out at my place until morning." Victoria was stunned. This stranger was offering her shelter without knowing anything about her. I couldn't impose." "Ma'am, with respect, you're soaked to the bone and it's nearly midnight. Where else are you gonna go?" Sarah's smile was warm despite the circumstances. "Besides, my daughter Emma would never forgive me if I left someone stranded in weather like this." Sarah's small house was a modest 2-story with peeling paint and a rickety front porch. But when they stepped inside, Victoria was immediately struck by how clean and welcoming it felt. Family photos covered the walls, and despite the obvious signs of financial struggle, mismatched furniture, patched curtains, everything was arranged with care and love. "Emma, honey, we have a guest," Sarah called softly as she helped Victoria out of her wet coat. A sleepy 8-year-old girl with Sarah's auburn hair appeared at the top of the stairs, rubbing her eyes. "Mom, who's that?" "This is Victoria." "Her car broke down in the storm, so she's going to stay with us tonight," Sarah explained, her voice filled with the gentle patience of a loving mother. Emma Mitchell bounded down the stairs, immediately curious and unafraid. "Are you okay?" "Mom always helps people when they're in trouble." Victoria knelt down to Emma's level, something she'd never done with a child before. "I'm okay now, thanks to your mom. She's very kind. She's the best mom in the whole world," Emma declared with 8-year-old certainty. Sarah insisted Victoria take a hot shower while she put Emma back to bed. She lent Victoria some of her own clothes, simple pajamas, and a robe that, while inexpensive, were clean and comfortable. When Victoria came downstairs, she found Sarah in the kitchen making hot chocolate with marshmallows. "I hope you don't mind." "Instant," Sarah said apologetically. "It's Emma's favorite." "It's perfect," Victoria said, and meant it. She couldn't remember the last time someone had made her hot chocolate. They sat at the small kitchen table, the storm still raging outside. Victoria noticed the stack of unpaid bills held down by a coffee mug, the coupon clippings on the counter, the patched tablecloth. "How long have you lived here?" Victoria asked. "About 3 years. Emma and I moved here after ... Sarah paused, stirring her hot chocolate. "After her father left. It's not much, but it's ours." "You work?" "2 jobs, actually. I clean offices at night and work at the diner during the day. Emma stays with Mrs. Henderson next door when I'm working nights." Sarah's voice held no self-pity, just quiet determination. "We make it work." Victoria felt something stir in her chest, an unfamiliar emotion. Here was this woman, struggling to make ends meet, and she'd opened her home to a complete stranger without hesitation. "Why?" Victoria asked suddenly. "Why what? Why did you stop? Why are you helping me? You don't know me." Sarah smiled the same warm smile that had greeted Victoria in the storm. "Because that's what people do. We help each other." She paused, looking out at the rain. "My grandmother used to say, you never know when the stranger you help might be an angel in disguise." Victoria felt tears prick her eyes. When was the last time she'd cried? "I'm no angel, Sarah." "Maybe not," Sarah said gently, "but everyone deserves kindness when they're lost in the storm." Sarah gave Victoria her own bed and insisted on sleeping on the couch. Victoria protested, but Sarah was firm. "You're my guest," Sarah said simply. "Besides, I've slept on that couch plenty of nights when Emma was sick. It's more comfortable than it looks." As Victoria lay in Sarah's simple bed, surrounded by the scent of lavender detergent and listening to the storm outside, she thought about her life in New York, her penthouse apartment with its floor-to-ceiling windows and designer everything suddenly felt cold and empty compared to this small house filled with love. She thought about Sarah, working 2 jobs to support her daughter, still finding the generosity to help a stranger. She thought about Emma's innocent declaration that her mother was the best mom in the whole world. When was the last time anyone had looked at Victoria with such uncomplicated love? Victoria woke to the smell of bacon and coffee. She found Sarah in the kitchen, making breakfast while Emma ate cereal at the table. "Morning," Sarah said cheerfully. "Coffee's fresh. I called Tony's garage. He can tow your car and probably have it running by afternoon. Mom makes the best pancakes," Emma announced. "She's making them special for you." Victoria watched Sarah flip pancakes on an old griddle, her movements economical and practiced. On the counter, Victoria noticed the electric bill marked "Final Notice" in red letters. "Sarah," Victoria began, but Sarah quickly moved the bill. "Don't worry about it," Sarah said, but Victoria had seen the amount, $347. Not a fortune to Victoria, but clearly devastating to Sarah. After breakfast, as they waited for the tow truck, Victoria excused herself and stepped outside. She called her assistant on her newly working phone. "Rebecca, I need you to do something for me immediately. When the tow truck arrived, Victoria insisted on paying for Sarah's help, but Sarah refused any money. "You don't owe me anything," Sarah said firmly. "I'm just glad you're safe." Victoria hugged both Sarah and Emma, another first for her. As she got into the tow truck, she turned back. "Sarah, I meant what I said about repaying your kindness. Don't be surprised if you hear from me again." Sarah smiled and waved. "Take care of yourself, Victoria." As the truck pulled away, Victoria looked back at the small house with its peeling paint and broken fence, and made a decision that would change everything. Back in New York, Victoria couldn't stop thinking about Sarah and Emma. She had Rebecca, her assistant, do some discreet research. What she learned broke her heart. Sarah Mitchell, 32, widowed when her husband died in a work accident 3 years ago. The insurance company had fought the claim, leaving her with massive medical bills and funeral costs. She'd lost their home and had to move to Millbrook, where rent was cheaper. She worked 60 hours a week at 2 jobs just to keep their heads above water. Emma was a straight-A student despite everything, but Sarah had been forced to tell her they couldn't afford the art classes Emma desperately wanted to take. Victoria stared at the report, thinking of Sarah's gentle hands making hot chocolate, of Emma's bright smile despite their hardships. She picked up her phone. "Rebecca, clear my calendar for the next week and get me the contact information for the best family lawyer in Pennsylvania." A week later, Sarah was surprised to find Victoria's Mercedes parked outside her house. Victoria stood on the porch, holding a manila envelope and wearing a nervous smile. "Victoria?" Sarah opened the door, Emma peeking out from behind her. "What are you doing here?" "I told you I'd repay your kindness," Victoria said. "May I come in?" They sat in the same kitchen where they'd shared hot chocolate a week ago. Victoria placed the envelope on the table. "Sarah, I want you to know that what I'm about to offer comes with no strings attached. You saved my life that night, not just from the storm, but from something much deeper. You reminded me what real goodness looks like." Sarah looked at the envelope suspiciously. "Victoria, what is this? Open it." Inside was a check for $50,000 and legal documents. Sarah's hands trembled as she read. "I don't understand." "The check covers all your debts, the medical bills, the funeral costs, everything. The papers establish a trust fund for Emma's education, from kindergarten through college, including art classes." Victoria's voice was steady but emotional. "But that's not all." Victoria pulled out another set of documents. "I own a small marketing company in Pittsburgh. It's struggling because I haven't given it proper attention. I want you to run it." Sarah stared at her. "I clean offices and wait tables. I don't know anything about running a company. You raised a daughter on your own while working 2 jobs. You opened your home to a stranger in a storm. You have more leadership skills than most MBAs I know." Victoria leaned forward. "The salary is $85,000 a year, plus benefits. There's a company house in Pittsburgh, 3 bedrooms, good schools for Emma. I can single quotes T. This is too much." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "Mom, what's happening?" Emma had been listening from the doorway. Victoria knelt down to Emma's level again. "Your mom helped me when I was lost, Emma. Now I want to help her. Would you like to live in a house with a big backyard and take all the art classes you want?" Emma's eyes went wide. "Really, Mom, can we?" That evening, after Emma had gone to bed excited about the possibility of art classes, Sarah and Victoria sat on the front porch. "Why are you really doing this?" Sarah asked. "People like you don't just give away money and jobs to people like me." Victoria was quiet for a long moment. "Do you know what my life was like before that night? I had everything money could buy and nothing that mattered. I had employees, not friends. I had a schedule, not a life. I had success, but no joy." She looked at the stars above the small town. "When you made me hot chocolate and tucked a flannel shirt around my shoulders, you treated me like I mattered, not because of what I owned or what I could do for you, but just because I was a human being who needed help. Do you know how rare that is? But this, it's like a fairy tale. Things like this don't happen to people like me. Maybe they should happen more often," Victoria said softly. "Sarah, you have something I've spent my whole life trying to buy. You know how to love without conditions. You know how to give without expecting. You've created more joy in this little house than I have in my mansion." The next morning, Sarah made her decision. With Emma chattering excitedly about new schools and art classes, she called Victoria. "If you're serious about this offer, I accept. But I have conditions." "Name them." "I want to earn this job, not just be given it. If I can't do the work, you fire me. No special treatment." Victoria smiled on the other end of the phone. "Deal. When can you start?" "Give me 2 weeks to give proper notice at my jobs and pack our things. Sarah, thank you for everything." 6 months later, Victoria stood in the lobby of Mitchell Marketing. She'd renamed the company in Sarah's honor. Through the glass walls, she could see Sarah leading a client meeting with confidence and natural charm. The company had turned around, completely under Sarah's leadership. Her genuine care for people, the same quality that had made her stop in the storm, made her exceptional at understanding what clients needed. Emma was thriving in her new school and had won a local art contest. She'd painted a picture of the night. They met Victoria, 2 women sharing hot chocolate while the storm raged outside, titled "When Angels Come in the Rain." "Ms. Sterling?" Sarah appeared beside her, professional but warm. "The Morrison account loved our proposal. We got the contract." Of course they did," Victoria said proudly. "I knew you were perfect for this job." They walked together toward Victoria's office. "Are you happy, Sarah? Really happy?" Sarah smiled, the same warm smile that had greeted Victoria in the storm. "You know what makes me happiest? Emma asked me yesterday if we could invite you for Thanksgiving dinner. She wants to make you hot chocolate with extra marshmallows." Victoria felt that same emotion she'd experienced in Sarah's kitchen months ago. The unfamiliar warmth of being truly wanted, not for what she could provide, but for who she was. "I'd love that," Victoria said, and realized she meant it more than anything she'd ever said in her life. A year later, both women stood together at the grand opening of the Sarah Mitchell Foundation, established to help single mothers start their own businesses. The foundation's motto, displayed prominently on the wall, read, "Sometimes the greatest gifts come disguised as storms." Emma, now 9 and still convinced her mother was the best mom in the world, had a new addition to that belief. She also thought Victoria was the best fairy godmother a girl could ask for. And in a world that often seemed too busy for kindness, 2 women had proven that sometimes a simple act of compassion in the middle of a storm could change everything. The rain that had brought them together that night had washed away more than just the dust on the roads. It had washed away the barriers between 2 very different worlds, revealing the simple truth that kindness knows no boundaries, and love multiplies when it's shared. As the foundation's doors opened to welcome its first group of hopeful single mothers, Victoria and Sarah exchanged a look that said everything words couldn't express. They had both learned that night in the storm that the most valuable treasures in life aren't found in bank accounts or luxury cars. They're found in the connections we make with others when we choose compassion over indifference, generosity over selfishness. Emma ran up to them, her latest painting in hand, a bright, colorful canvas showing the sun breaking through storm clouds, with 2 figures standing side by side beneath a rainbow. "Look what I painted for the foundation," she announced proudly. "It's called After Every Storm Comes Something Beautiful." Victoria knelt down and hugged the little girl who had become like a daughter to her. "It's perfect, Emma, just like you and your mom." And as the 3 of them stood there together, surrounded by the bustling energy of new beginnings and second chances, they knew that sometimes the most extraordinary journeys begin with the simplest acts of human kindness, and that the best families aren't always the ones we're born into, but the ones we choose to create along the way.
Thank you for watching this story unfold with us here on M&A The Story Unfolds. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new tale. We'd love to know where you're watching. Leave a comment below and tell us what part of the world you're joining us from. Your support means everything. See you in the next story.